Hi there, I'm Kylie Mowbray-Allen from Hello Media.
And I'm Jenny Walk from Elephant in the Room Consulting, and you're tuning into Bite-Sized Business Life Podcast, the show that helps business owners get clarity and insight to grow their dream business.
Whether you're launching, ready to scale, or figuring out what's next, we discuss the nitty-gritty, the hard bits, the opportunities, and the behind the scenes, and share how we've grown our own companies and helped others do the same.
We're glad you're here. Bite-Sized Business Live Podcast, the show that helps small business owners get clarity and insight to grow their dream business. Good afternoon, Kylie. How are you today? Happy Monday.
Great, Jenny. Happy Monday to you. And it's lovely to be zooming in with you from Adelaide.
From Adelaide, yeah. In Adelaide, or Radelaide as we like to call it if you're in Victoria. I don't know if everyone else calls it that, but we call it Radelaide. Really excited to be here for a workshop delivering tomorrow with Supply Nation, with about 25 businesses, and enjoying my time at the Playford Hotel in Adelaide. It's really lovely.
Nice. I've only been once to Adelaide and it was just lovely. I liked the layout. Apparently it was designed by the same person that designed Christchurch. So it's a really usable, easy city to get around.
Yeah, it is. It's such a nice city. It has a really cool vibe. I feel like, it's a public holiday day, so the streets are fairly quiet and everywhere's sort of a bit of a ghost town, like most cities are on a public holiday. But it just, I always find a quite relaxing vibe in Adelaide. I haven't been here, I think, since 2017, I think, was the last time I was here. I was doing a roadshow for the business I was working at beforehand, prior to starting the company, and we were doing a roadshow, I'm pretty sure, on the importance of creating leadership and innovation in business. So it's 7 years later, back here talking about supply diversity.
Very, very good. Very nice.
So sorry, we're talking over each other today. What is going on with us? I'm excited about today because we've been talking kind of around AI and the value AI and the potential downfalls AI brings to the business. So I'm so excited today that you're going to share your insight. I know you did an epic course last week on kind of AI and kind of all things AI. So I'm very excited about our topic today, which is really about kind of the amazing value and also maybe some of the pitfalls around using AI.
Okay, it was so good, Jenny, last week. It started at 4 a.m. my time, 3 a.m. for some of my Queensland friends. And so we were messaging going, oh, it's a lot for the brain to take on at this time of day. And it was, a full day of stuff, but it was just amazing. And there was a number of different speakers, all on different topics and all for marketers. So there was well over, I think, 4,050 people in the room, which was just extraordinary. And they were all writers. So basically it's all for writers. So finding out how AI can do it better. How we can do it better with AI is what I mean. Actually, I wish I hadn't said that at all. I'm not trying to say that AI can write better than us. Hell no. What I'm trying to say is how we can use AI as a tool. And remember how I've always said that we shouldn't get AI to do the stuff for us. We should use it as a tool for ideas. And a few of us were agreeing on the fact that for blogs, for example, I would never get AI to write me a blog. But when I'm feeling a little slumpy in terms of just getting it started or getting a structure around it, for example, then asking AI to help with the structure. And then I go in and fill out the meat of it, put the ingredients in the sandwich, so to speak. So yeah, we're all agreeing on that is such a great tool rather than great to replace us. We haven't got any sound from you, Jenny. There's a little technical hitch. So no, not there yet. So I will continue, but oh, we've got you back. Yay.
Sorry, my microphone, my travel microphone is having some hitches today and keeps shutting down on me. I love what you said then. It's not about getting it to do the work for you, because I know there's a big fear about that. And in fact, even my partner keeps saying, you can't use, ChatGPT and AI because, it's going to devalue your work. And it's not about making it replace what we do. It's using us to, as you said, to take kind of structure and the framework to help us then write and to build our content out. And also what I love about it is it sometimes gets me to think about things in a different way, because it'll come up with something and I'm like, where did that come from? and then my brain goes down a whole other rabbit hole. So I think there's opportunities, but we're going to talk about that, particularly in the marketing space, right?
Yes. So the three things I want to talk about today of how you can use it, and there's, a bazillion more, but that's marketing, content, and the customer experience. So let's go into the marketing one, because it's a really interesting one, and I'll give you my own example. So I'm launching a new series of workshops at the moment, and at the beginning there's a free hour-long session that people can come to and just find out, what's going to be good about it, and then we launch into the paid workshops. Now, I had come up with all the content, I'm creating it, but then there's just a few little areas where I'm feeling like I just wasn't nailing it at all. So I asked it for ideas. So I haven't used one of those ideas, but you're right. What it did was spark my brain to get going again. And so I think I took one word out of pages of stuff, but that one word was enough to just get me moving in that direction again. Then I needed to set up a series of email flows. So I asked for subjects. Now, again, I didn't use any of those, but it gave me some bits and pieces to use from it. So I think that's the key. But my top tip around that section would be, number one is don't keep going to a new, what do you call it, Jenni, like a page or
a new chat.
Yes, don't go to a new chat. That's it. You need to stay on the same chat. So they can be so long, and also go back to it weeks later. So when I first started coming up with this concept, it was months ago, and I'm still on that same chat. So that really helps it really understand what it is that you're trying to get out of it.
I remember doing that for a piece of work I was doing. And again, it was about sparking ideas. And I was asking it questions to think of different ways to say the same things. Because what I'd researched and the way that I was describing it wasn't exactly how I wanted it. To your point, I wasn't quite nailing it. So I'd type in what I was thinking and say, what's a different way, or a different way I could say this content or this concept. And it kept giving me new ideas. And I remember, because I was took your advice from a couple of months ago when you said, don't change that chat. And I went back to it, and I remember going back a couple of days later, asking it a question. And it said to me, so I've already answered this question for you. This is what I said to you. And I was loving it, because I was like, I love that, because it's recalling it is like a conversation. And I think that's one of the really key takeaways, isn't it? Is if you treat it as having a conversation with someone who may just have access to more information than you do, and that may not always be right, just in the same conversation, you can't always assume that everything it says is right, but it sparks that engagement, and what one of my wonderful friends would call Leanne Hardy just talk conversational tennis. And I think about it as conversational tennis with the AI. How do I do this? What do you think about that? Oh, I don't like that. Here's some other suggestions. When we treat it as a conversation, you get a much richer outcome than if it's just give me 5 tips for this and write my blog, which is really just transactional.
Indeed. And you said something very clever in amongst that. There was many clever things, but one in particular that I've got to latch onto, and it was around that conversation piece. So you and I catch up today. We don't then discuss and do a recap on all of the other things that we've ever talked about on Bite Size. We just get straight into it because we know what we've done in the past. And it's the same with your chat. When you go back into the same thread of the chat, it's already all in there as context. So it would be weird to start a new chat every time. So for example, if I'm wanting suggestions with email subject lines, and then I'm going to go into some call to action social posts, and then I'm going to go into some landing page stuff, even though they're different things, they're still going to happen in the same chat.
Yeah. And I think, so that's for the marketing piece, is how to maximize. My takeaway from what you said then is really utilize that kind of knowledge building that you're giving it. You're giving it sort of information that it's building on every time, and it's your information that it actually draws from first. And that's the piece that I love about it. And I think you told us that, you shared that with us a couple of months ago. It may have been one of the workshops that I did with you, in that talking about that it learns from what you tell it to do. So it talks about the way you want to write, it talks about who you are, it starts to know who you are and create its own personality around you and the language you use. So if you are having that exchange, it's going to give you responses that relate so much more to whether it's your client, whether it's the context of what you're talking about, or whether it's you as a business. And that's where I found it really valuable, particularly when I have to answer curly questions around how do I describe my business in one sentence. Here's my 3 paragraphs that I always use, but I need it in 100 words. Can you compress this? It does really well to take those words and reformat them in a compressed way. So it's still my language, but it's helping me actually condense it and picking out those keywords that it knows from its experience that will be really valuable.
Absolutely. And then one really important bit to add on to that is that building out of your brand persona. Or I can't even think what it's called in ChatGPT anymore, but for example, in Canva, it's your brand voice. So make sure you go into your brand kit in Canva and fill out that brand voice. Make sure you do the same thing in ChatGPT, because the more it understands about you or more it knows, the better job it's going to do. But that takes me on to the topic number 2, which is content. And this is going to be my top tip for the content section, which is to always start the prompt off, not in the same chat, but each time you do a new chat, telling the AI language model, whichever one you're using, who they're meant to be performing as. So I would say, for example, you are an expert at writing SEO optimized blogs. These are the 5 keywords, because I've already done that research. So these are the 5 keywords that I want to focus on. Please create me an outline for a structure that I can then write my own blog with. And I'll put those 5 keywords in. I'll probably put a whole paragraph in talking about what it is so important to know about that business. And then it comes out with some really great stuff. And again, like you said, they're things that I may not have even thought about before. But really feeding it information so that it can spit better stuff back is a really great thing to do.
That idea, that's kind of, my brain is kind of going in crazy at the moment. Telling it how you want it to speak, such a clever about what is that voice, what is the voice you want it to respond to. And I love that you're as you said, you're an SEO digital marketer expert. This is what we're writing on. So it's going to think about, okay, it's starting to imagine itself in that as that person. And we tell our clients to do that when we're talking, whether it's, we write for tender responses and grant applications, you're writing for social media, but every time we do that, we're writing in their voice. And we start the conversation with, who is the person we're writing for? But it's actually, that's just blown my mind. You're telling ChatGPT or whatever AI you're using to do the same thing as a starting point. That's going to be a game changer for what you get out of with the results that you get when you use it.
Definitely. And my second top tip in that same topic is, when you don't like what it spat back at you in terms of it being just too AI-ish, tell it. Say, rewrite it without being so typically AI. Full stop. Please don't use words like unleash, for example. And then it will come back. Or sometimes it's too overly chatty. And I'll say, please rewrite it now with a little more formality. So it's amazing how it can just change the tone so fast.
And tone is so important. It's one of the key things that we talk about when we're, when I'm coaching clients, whether it's through content, whether it's through tenders, whether it's through, facilitation, is the tone that you use and the words that you use are so important at resonating with your clients, because you can say the same thing and sound angry and turn everybody off, or you can say things that are say the same words in a really, empathetic, connecting way, and people will latch onto you straight away. So that tone is so important in making sure that matches your audience, isn't it? Because it's not just about, and I think this is going to lead into our third topic, it's not just about, the marketing guff and saying, hey, how awesome am I? This is what I do. Right, or writing good content in the voice. It's really about connecting with our audience. That's ultimately what we're trying to do with any content that we write.
For sure. And you're right. It does lead into that third one, which is about the customer experience. So when we think about who we're writing for, we often talk about the funnel, the stages of the funnel. And so I write content for the top, content for the middle, content for the bottom. So I will tell the AI platform and say, the ideal client that I'm speaking to in this, or the ideal customer that I'm trying to attract with the purpose of this topic, whatever, is XYZ. And I might really list out their psychographics, or maybe I'll just do a little tiny sentence about it. Either way, it's getting a better idea of who I'm writing it for, or for what that experience is going to be like for that person.
And I think the key takeaway that I'm listening to when you're sharing today is really around, it's not just about putting in, write me 10 captions for my, my pet business, or 10 captions for as a consultant. It's actually saying, I'm a First Nations business coach. This is the type of clients that I serve. This is the type of programs that I do. Here are my top 3 values or benefits of working with me. Can you now please, help me with some caption starters for my type of business? So it's not just saying write captions for a consulting company, because they're going to be generic in what everybody else is doing. But by personalizing it, whether you're doing it for marketing, whether you're doing it for content creation, or whether it's like the reason is to make sure we're connecting with our audience, having that personalization up front really ensures that you're actually putting your voice, but also your words. I think that's really critical, isn't it? Because you and I have keywords that we often use when we talk to clients. Uncomplify is one of your favorite. They can't find that in a dictionary. It's not going to be in Google. So, using the language that you would use and getting it to reflect that, I think is so important, so that it's still your voice, it's still your language, it's still your concepts or your ideas. You're just getting someone to help you with the framework, or getting the AI to help you structure it to make it accessible for everybody.
Yes, totally. And how's this for something cool that we've been doing in our group coaching sessions with my clients, is we've been putting in, say, 5, for example, of our, competitors, and just their websites, and saying, please analyze and tell me what then is different about what I do. So it's really helping you come up with your USP. So it will give a massive few big chapters on that company and all the things that they do that's awesome, but then all the things that you do that is very different, so that we can focus on that. Because so often people just copy what they think other people are doing well. But as you know, it's not about that. It's about highlighting what we do well.
And I love that. I didn't realize that it actually allowed you to analyze websites. That's not something that I knew that it did. So that to me is a massive game changer, because when we're looking at it, we're looking at it through a very particular lens, right? We're either looking at it through, oh, we're this or we're that. We're not actually looking at it potentially in a independent view when we look at our competitors or other websites. So I love that idea of getting it to do the analyzing of that and share that back to you, because again, it's an independent voice. It has no connection with you. It doesn't really know you other than what you've told it. So it's going to give you really general information that you can then build on. I love that.
I'll also put in a newsletter, for example, and I will say, I opened this newsletter, which I often wouldn't. What was different about this subject line and this opening paragraph that made me carry on to the bottom, and then even click through and made me sign up for whatever they were offering? And it will really analyze what was the reasoning behind that. So that's pretty good. But one thing I want to say about that customer's experience is it's not just about the content. So it could be, you and I were talking about Keep, which is my CRM, so Infusionsoft on Friday. And one of the things that's, because AI has been around for a very, very, very long time, it's just that it's just since March last year really just gone super crazy, with ChatGPT flying out and everyone going, woo! So, but there's a lot out there. And for example, I've been using ManyChat since social media marketing world, I was introduced to ManyChat. So that was back in 2018. So that's just one example, but I just want to share about Keep. So I set up a sign-up form, right? So people have signed up to show their interest in something, and then I set up the flow. So immediately that person gets this tag attached to them, and they get added to this thing, and then they get an email to say, hey, thanks for registering, et cetera, et cetera. And then I can say, do this or do that. And then I can set it up for 48 hours later to send something else. Then maybe 10 days later, etc. So it takes me quite some time to set it all up. But then once it's done, it just keeps working. So in terms of a customer experience, you're getting a better experience because I'm showing my interest in flow and all that kind of stuff. But then I'm saving time because I'm not having to send out an email every time someone signs up or do any of that kind of stuff. So it's wonderful in terms of that. But again, notice that the human element was massively in there in the first place. It takes hours to write all that stuff and set it up. But that's AI helping me along the way, which I love.
And I think that's what we forget is that, and I think that's one of the key takeaways people need to remember is we get all excited about AI and things at the moment. It has been around for a long while. It's been working, doing a lot of tasks that people don't even realize that it's been doing for a very, very long time. But I think the key that I think has made the game changer is that it's now accessible for everybody. It's being approached to us like Grammarly's been doing it for a very long time, and they've just
prime example of an AI platform.
what I love now that they've actually just updated their USP to include using AI generated content. So it's actually they've now brought it into their their value proposition. So everyone's very clear, but they've been doing that to us or with us for as long as I can remember. I've been using Grammarly. That's been AI. It just hasn't been accessible for the average bear, right? And so now things like ChatGPT and Bing's version, and whether it's Microsoft or Google's version
Gemini. So Gemini, the Google version, it used to be called Bard. Now they've renamed it as Gemini.
Or whether you're using the Canva version, or whether you're using, wherever you're working, even Microsoft Office does it now when it says, can I suggest a rewrite? When you're in a document, it says, would you like us to rewrite a rewrite suggestion for your sentence? People have been using it for so long, and we're just now saying, actually, this is a pretty cool tool. Let's make friends with the computer and help it actually do our work better rather than being afraid of it. I think that's the key piece that we have to remember. It's just accessibility for the average person now, which what it means to me is it becomes a much leveler playing field for small businesses to play with big businesses, because you're accessing technology that may have been locked out to us for the last decade. We can now play and use that same power and that same AI power to actually elevate our content, elevate our marketing, and elevate our connection with our audience. But the key is we have to start the conversation. You can't actually expect it to know who you are or know about you unless you share that information first and build on that relationship that you have with whatever AI platform you're using.
Absolutely. And you were right in terms of there's so many platforms out there. It is mind-blowing. One of the middle sessions in that summit that I attended was all about different platforms. It was just completely mind-blowing. And that's when, for example, when they said Grammarly, and I was like, it's another one I've been using for a bazillion years. So there's so many of them that we already use. We just hadn't thought it through in terms of they are AI.
Yeah, exactly. So we've talked about marketing, we've talked about content, and we've talked about customer experience. And I think as I said, for me, the key takeaway is making sure we're feeding it information to start with, and we're teaching it how to speak on our behalf or to understand us, so that when it's sharing content with us, it's still our voice, it's still our language. It's just somebody helping us kind of shortcut our innovation or our kind of ideation process, so we can actually get that content to market much quicker. I think that for me is what the benefit is. I use it like you do, is give me a structure for this. Here are the 5 topics that I want to do. Can you please provide some structure around a blog or around a design of whatever it might be, or a tender response? And everybody's using it, but the smarter you use it and the more effective you use it, the better the outcomes are going to be.
Absolutely. Someone was saying recently about awards, it was a great post that she wrote, and it said that they literally just put them over to the side. Within the first sentence if AI's written it. And it's like, let's get that out of there. That's not going to do anyone any favors. So you're dead right. The key is to season it or flavor it, and then you will be amazed at what's going to come out.
Yeah,
a piece of tofu is just a piece of tofu. But if you marinate it and season it, it's going to be something quite exquisite.
And I do love that, because everyone's afraid of tofu unless you've cooked it properly, and then you're less afraid of it, right? You just have to play with it. I love that. And as we're talking, we're having this conversation on Zoom, and there's the AI companion within the Zoom model as well. So almost every single platform now has some AI companion or AI plug-in, essentially, that's supporting the delivery of that service. So it's an opportunity for every business. It's a level playing field. Build your engagement, build your understanding, and then you can utilize it more effectively. But you mentioned a couple of times that you've been talking about this in your workshops that you've been using. How do people get to know about the workshops, and so that we can get some of these great tips that you've been sharing?
Thanks, Jenny. Jump onto hellomedia.team. That's our website. And you could just easily book a discovery chat with me, and we can go through what might be best suited to your business. We've got everything from low-cost memberships where you get touch points with me live, or all the way through to coaching programs that we have me one-on-one and group coaching and masterclasses and all that. But I do have a brand new masterclass coming up in a few weeks, which is a deep dive into AI and looking at various platforms and stuff. So I'm super excited about that. And we've only got 4 spots for it. So yeah, that's a very exciting one.
That is exciting.
You, Jenni, how can they get in touch with you? Sorry, I've spoken.
No, that's right. I'm excited now thinking about the masterclass, because I know being part of your, being part of your membership processes, the masterclasses are one of the bonuses that you offer, and they are amazing. And there's so much information that gets put into those masterclasses, and you spend so much time developing them. They're definitely worth attending if you're in the market for for digital marketing coaching and wanting to get better at that. It's certainly something you want to definitely think about. So reach out to Kylie. For us, we've got our Empire Builders Masterclass, which is happening on the 22nd to the 24th of March, which I'm so excited about. We've got 2 places left in that program, but if you're interested in connecting with me to find out what we do, Elephant in the Room AU on our socials, or elephantintheroomau.com is our website. Reach out, again, book a discovery call, and we can have a chat about what is the best way we can work together.
Awesome, Jenni. I can't wait to hear how that goes, that retreat. It'll be wonderful.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. We love playing the Empire Builders space. Is one of the pretty much my favorite program that I run, and I'm very excited to be having it in the next couple of weeks. But for everyone who's joined us today, thank you so much. It's been great to have you join us on Facebook or on our YouTube platform, or even on your podcast, wherever you access your podcast. Be sure to click the subscribe button so you know when our next episode drops, and stay in touch with us. If you have any questions, reach out in the comments, reach out in a question, or reach out on our socials. It's so good to see you, but we will see you next week, same time-ish, but next Monday for next Bite Size Business Live podcast. Thanks, Kylie, for your time today. It's been great to chat with you.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Jenni. Bye, everyone.